Okay, happen to see a forum question pop through in the Zoho Forum. I'll put a link in the description below so you can see what it actually looks like. And I'll swipe over here so you can see what the question is. So the Zoho Forms to Zoho Desk, Mailing Street, Zip, and Mailing City. So what they want to do is they want to integrate the form to Desk, which you can do to create a ticket. And that does not contain customer fields like title, mailing street, mailing zip, and city. There's no connection. I want to be able to create a ticket and update customer address in the CRM at the same time. The response back from Zoho was, I'm afraid we can't do that, basically, but we'll put on the product wish list. Should it become available, we'd like to be in a position to let you know. So that's the question and the answer. And I was like, well, you know what? I think we can do it. Maybe we just do a little deluge and make it happen. So what do we need to do? So we got the question from the Zoho form. We needed a way to add or update the address information in Zoho CRM from the entry of a Zoho form into Zoho Desk. So what do we need to do? We need to create the address fields in Zoho Desk. So you have to add some custom fields. You can just put it in a section and shove it down below. So that way it's not in the top information, more relevant. But you could put it in there to serve this purpose. So then you need to map the address fields in the Zoho form to Desk. I mean, they kind of showed it like these things here. So we want to do that because you can do that kind of thing in CRM. That's what they're alluding to, but you can't do it from Forms to Desk automatically. So we need to map the fields. And then what we do is we create a workflow with a custom function in Desk to look up the associated contact in Zoho CRM and update the address information in the contact, and if they have an account, the account as well. So I'm going to walk you through those steps right now. Let me go back to the forms. Okay, here's the form. We just created this one form. It's very generic. And I'll leave that open for now. But let's go ahead and look at the way the form is. Again, you may have different fields in your form, but I just put the basics in here just to demonstrate how this could work. So in forms, you create a new form, and you just drag over what you need if you haven't done that before. Okay, so then we need, oh, by the way, if you haven't already, go check out Zocademy. And we have an all-access pass, which we're continuing to try to add courses and tips and tricks like this out there. And as you become a member, it's like a VIP club. We're going to have t-shirts and that kind of stuff too for this, but it's basically to gain your knowledge and expand your skill sets to become more valuable in the marketplace, basically. So go check that out. Also, we will have a link in the description down below that if you want to get the code that we'll demonstrate here, I mean, you could follow along and just type the code out yourself, but if you just want to pull a copy and paste of the code, so make it a lot easier for you, so instead of taking half an hour, it takes 5 minutes. Enroll in this tips and tricks. We'll have the link in the description below. Just enroll and it's free. Then you'll be able to just grab the code. So as we do more of these videos, we're going to have more of those tips and tricks types things where you can just copy and paste the code, saving you a ton of time. Anyways, let me get back to this. Okay, so we're adding a ticket. We've got the form. Oh yeah. So in Desk, if you haven't done it already, to add custom fields, and as you can see, I'm not building this here to waste your time in a half an hour. I took about 20 minutes to put this together, so just to make it faster for you so you can see what we're doing and not building it all out. So we went into the layout and I created a new section. So I just dragged and dropped this add section over here and then created this address information section. And then all I did is I dragged single lines, as you can see, the little A's, dragged the single lines over for the street, the city, the state, and the zip. Easy peasy, right? Then all I did is I went into integrations here in the form and just mapped those fields. So these are the fields in the CRM. These are the fields in the form. Just mapped them up. Click the integration so that way they're tied together. So anytime this form is filled out, and I'll demonstrate that, it will create a ticket. And it automatically matches up based on the email if you have, a CRM record with that email. Okay, so we did that. Created the fields. What else do we need to do? Create address fields in Desk, map the address field. So we just showed that quickly. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty here. We're going to look at the workflow. So if we look at, go into setup again and workflows. So we created a update contact account address workflow. So it's as simple as coming up here and creating a rule. So I've got the rule, just named it update contact account address. We create it. And then what I did is a criteria. So if you do have, where a form's submitted and there's no street associated with it, there's no point in running this. But I mean, you could just take the criteria out, and every ticket that comes through, it's going to try to update the records. So then what you have down here is the actions. So you have the ability, if you click here, you can see alerts, field updates, add skills, remove skills, all kinds of stuff. And if you scroll down, you've got custom functions. Now you can only do one custom function per workflow. So if I do new, it's going to say, can't do it. But if I already created this, so you can see that there's one that exists. Otherwise, if I hadn't attached it, I could create the function and then just attach it here by clicking on the existing. So since we have the function already created, I'm just going to go into edit. And here's the code that we use to make this update. So again, on any new ticket that comes through, it's going to grab the street, the city, the state, and the zip, and it's going to look up the contact that is in Desk, and then look at the CRM contact that is related to that contact that's in Desk, and make the updates. So you can see here it's only 27 lines of code, not that difficult to do. And if I even took out some of the commented items here, then it would be less. So one thing you need is an org ID. And the funny thing about Desk is it's like not front and center, it's kind of buried. So if we go over here and we go into setup, it's actually down underneath API. This is where you find yours. It's down here at the very bottom of the page on your API. That's the org ID that you need. So I recommend just putting org ID as a variable, add the org ID right there as an integer, you're good to go. And then this ID, actually that's right, I hard-coded this in. We need to change this. Okay, so I was doing some testing and I just did a hard-coded one just for testing purposes, so I don't have to keep copying and pasting the ID. So like this, here I'll show you. If I take this out and I try to execute, shit, oops, sorry. And I add arguments here. So this is when you're feeding it in from another, I should just name this too, update CRM address. Sloppy, I should have done this before creating this, save you having to hear me mumble. All right, so that's done. So now if I go to execute it, it pops up this little, I have to now put in the ID of the record. But now this will work for any record that comes through. So the ticket, so this is getting the ticket information. So the ID that is triggered because of the creation of the ticket is you get record by ID in Desk, you plug in the org ID, you're going to go to the module called tickets, and then the ID is what you're going to pass. So if you ever start typing what you need to do, so let's say get record by ID, it's nice, it gives you these little hints. So you need the org ID, great. And I kind of make it look similar. The module, so if I put in org ID, you can see the next thing is the module, and it automatically pulls up the different modules. That's kind of slick. So then if I say tickets, and then I'm just going to pull that ID. Boom. Easy peasy. All right, so we pulled the ticket. Now the ticket info, so I put info, the ticket underneath this, and it's commented out. If I hadn't done that, then what it does, it spits out something like this. So this gibberish on the left-hand side, if you're not familiar with it, it just looks like crap. So what you do is you go to this thing called jasonformatter.org, and we'll put a link in the description below. Actually, I think we put it in the tips and tricks in the Zocademy video. So you can grab it there. Or you can just look at it. It's Jason Formatter, or you can search for it on Google, obviously. And then what you do is you paste that in, and you click Make Pretty, and it makes it look pretty. Okay, so now you've got all the fields and details of that particular ticket. So let's go back over here. So now what do we need out of that ticket is I want to grab the contact. So the Desk contact, Zoho Desk get record by ID again. Because if you look in the ticket, where is it? The ticket, here we go. So contact ID. So this is not the CRM ID for the contact. This is a specific Desk ID for that contact, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull that contact and again get info so we can see what fields is in the contact, are in the contact. Copy and paste. Looks like gibberish. Make it look pretty. So now here we have the actual contact. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there is a field called Zoho CRM, well, a collection. Well, I don't know what you call this. It's like a nested thing. So CRM contact, and then you can see the ID. So go back here. We're going to grab the desk contact. So we take this variable, we get the CRM contact, and then we get ID. So basically we're grabbing this part, and then we're saying, I want that piece of it. Okay. So we get the CRM contact ID back, and we do another info, and this is what it looks like. So now you can actually see the CRM contact information. You can see there's no mailing information, no street. And so if we look over here at the record, let me refresh this because I just ran a test beforehand. It might actually have address information. And I don't want to mislead you. Yeah, okay, let's get rid of that. Again, amateur hour, I should have done this before I started the video. Okay, save, let me go to the account too. So you can see no address information. Account name. Yeah. All right. Delete that. Delete. As Jim Carrey said in Liar Liar, deleted. Okay. Let's go into contacts again. All right. So those are cleared out. So what it's going to do is grab the contact, and which honestly you really don't need to do that, because you could just, instead of doing CRM contact get JSON ID, is you could just use this CRM contact ID. So I'm not actually sure why I did that, other than just to run the info so I could see what the fields were. So what we're doing here is you create a map, and you'll see this in all reference materials, the MP. That's like the ubiquitous, that's, way of saying here's a map. And a map is just a collection of things like fields. And so you map, or mp.put, that means you're going to take this this information here on the right side and put it into this thing called mailing street. And that's the API information that is in contacts. So if you ever wonder what that is, you go into setup within the CRM to see what the APIs are. And here's APIs, API names. So you go into contacts, and now you've got the list of these things. So these are the API names that you would use. Right, so that's all I'm doing. Mailing street, cities, state, zip, and I'm pulling in. Be aware here, you just can't put cities. I actually did this as I was building this. Kind of rookie mistake is I just grabbed street, city, state, zip without really looking at the way the structure was. So if you look, I'm in the ticket information. As you can see, it's under the umbrella of custom fields. And so I was wondering, like, why isn't this updating? And it was because I hadn't put custom fields ahead of it. It was just using street, state, city, and all that. So just be aware you have to put the custom fields in. Then what are we doing here? This is, again, another standard variable that people use, RESP, for like response. And then Zoho CRM update record. We're going to update the contacts record. We grab the contact ID, and then we mark it too long. So if you get an error that it's not working, it's probably because it's a string and you need it to be an integer to do the update. And then MP, as you can see, that's the collection of those different fields that we're going to update. Then secondly, if there is an account name on the contact, then we do the next. So then we say, okay, let's get the billing, street, city, state, zip, which is the same as, if you go here, back to the CRM APIs, you can just go to accounts and you can see what those fields look like. And so this isn't, again, only for updating addresses. I think that's pretty clear, right? You just can update anything as long as you can get the information from one, the form into desk. You have custom fields and you just direct those custom fields to go somewhere. Like in this, I don't have the reference of title that was in their question. But I could just as easily add that, right? I could add it as a custom field in desk. I could add it as a, something on the form feeds into desk, and then desk would just carry it through this code here into the CRM and update it. So I'm going to save the script, Gotta make sure you do that. It's kind of confusing. There's a save here and there's a save script here. I've done it before, where I click save here and I've made changes here and I go back and I'm like, where the hell did it go? It's because I didn't do save script. So we'll go ahead and save it. Make sure that this workflow is, now I could run a test in there. Maybe I'll do that for you just so you can see if you run a test, what's it look like. Let's go in here and edit, and then I'll just go clear out the address information again. Okay, so I've got the org ID. It's going to ask me for a ticket ID. So let me grab that. Let's grab this most recent one. Okay, so for your testing, again, I had it, I mean, I suppose I could just use this one. But anyways, you save and execute. It's going to bring up this little thing here, and this is where you paste in what the ID is. Done. And you can see here, whenever you have this like modified time, and you see these, that means it did an update. That's how you test it. Otherwise, you'll see some kind of error or something. All right, so let me go back into this record and refresh. Scrolling down, there's the address information. So let me go in and clear this out. I mean, I think you know it'll work. All right, save. Let's go into the account, edit, and clear this out. All right, save. All right, so now we've got that. We think it's working. Save, save again. I might have to pause this. I've got a dog barking in the background. Hopefully you can't hear that. Okay, so let's go into the form. Let's fill it on out. I do this and I know everybody's going to spam me, right? Okay, so Edkins group, testing again, should be 112, 123 Main Street, and we'll say Tampa. I should have taken country out because it's kind of annoying to do this. Okay, United States, let's submit it. Boom. All right, go back into forms. Let's see, entries. Should be 112. It's processing right now, so it'll take a moment. And if we go to the list of tickets, tickies, I think this is it, right? Should be 1112. Right here. Right here, and we've got the address information down there, 123 Main Street. We go over to Edkins Group, and nothing. Well, let's go to the contact. Got it. Okay. Let me do my thing here. Go to the contact. Address. There it is. Boom. Account. Let's check it out. Oh, there it is. And it worked. Cool. So, hopefully that helped. Let me think what else. I mean, this would work also if you had just done the web form, because it doesn't matter where it comes from. It's as soon as a new ticket is created. So you could use just the desk web form. If you're not familiar with where that is, go into setup. Right here, web forms, advanced web form, and I already created it. It's just another drag and drop. You can do that, and then it gives you some code that you can place it and embed it into your right here, embed it into your website if you like. That's another way to do it. But again, if I were to enter it through this way, it would do the same thing because it's going to look up that associated contact and update the records. So covered a bit here, but hopefully that's helpful. And again, you're not limited to just doing it for address. You could, what I want for these videos is like to broaden your concept of like, well, maybe I can do it instead of hearing you can't do it. I don't like to hear can't. Let's look at way we can do it. So sometimes it's like this, very simple and straightforward, 20 some odd lines of code, or it's doing a creator app or something like that. So check out other videos where we get really creative with how to do things. We like to say yes. And again, if you haven't, go check out Zocademy, Zocademy.com. And we always welcome new members to, I'd say the society, but that sounds kind of weird. But feel free to add comments down below. Be sure you subscribe. Click the bell icon, what everybody else says. And glad to have you. Hope it helps. Have a great day. Now, where is my...